everyone, my name is Iman.
And I'm Amal.
And welcome back to another episode of the Weird and Wonderful podcast. You can tell today we don't have any visuals. It's a purely audio episode because we're talking about something that's a little bit...
it's more of a sensitive issue.
Mm-hmm. We'll be talking about abusive relationships.
Yes, and we have a special guest with us today. Her name is Sarah. And hi, Sarah. How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thanks for having me.
And I know that it's a story that you shared with me before.
Yeah.
And I think just by us talking a little more about it, you've taught me a lot of things that I didn't know about people who are in abusive relationships.
Yeah.
So shall we just dive right into it?
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry if I get nervous because this is like the first time I'm actually talking publicly about it.
Of course.
So, it all started for me.
Yeah.
When I was 21. I met this guy through a friend of mine. He was 4 years older than me.
Okay, so he was about 25?
Yeah, at that time. And he was very extroverted, fun guy. And
Was he cute?
He was cute. And he was very well known among his peers and mine as well. And at that point of my life, I had very low self-esteem because I was just starting to lose weight. I was always chubby as a kid. And when he started showing interest in me, of course, I was happy, Out of all people, he would choose to be interested in me. And then we started going out for some time. And when he asked me to be his girlfriend, of course, I said yes.
Yeah. Did he ask in like a romantic way?
Yeah, he was very romantic and he was very funny. So, yeah. And, like the first few years, it was very fun. It was like everybody thought we were the it couple, the ones you want to be, And then when I turned 24, I started my new job. So it was just like I was starting to build up my career, and I was working long hours. I was very busy, so he didn't get enough attention, I guess, from me. So he started looking for attention elsewhere. And there were a few times that I caught him flirting with other girls. So it all started when I confronted him and he became defensive.
How did you catch him confronting chatting with other girls?
We have Facebook and all that. So
Ni generasi Facebook.
Yeah, like that time. So, you can see all these comments from other girls, and he was being very flirtatious towards them. And, I was just confronting him about it, and apparently he became very defensive about it, which I guess all guys who are cheating always do.
Yeah.
And then it started from there. So he started raising his voice. It was small things at first. He started raising his voice. And then every time we fought, I guess because it's partly my fault, I didn't kind of stop him or made it seem like it wasn't okay. So from the raising of his voice, he started, gradually it gradually built up to shoving and pushing, and then slapping and punching. So yeah, when the first time he slapped me, I was very shocked. I didn't want to believe that this guy that I really love slapped me or hurt me in any way. So I thought it was just a one-time thing.
What was this situation that led up to him slapping you?
Okay, so
was this the first time he laid his hands on you?
Yeah, it was. No, not really. He was shoving me previously, and it started in small things. Then it became worse. So when he slapped me, we were fighting about, I think it was about work or about some other girl, that sort of thing. I can't really remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then well.
It's okay. Take your time.
Take your time.
Take a deep breath.
Okay. And when I remember the first time when he punched me, because that was we were in the car. Most of the time this happened in the car, I guess because it's an enclosed space, and he feels safer there. So that this one time he punched me so hard, and because I was sitting on the passenger side and he was on the driver's side. So he punched me so hard on my arms and my legs, on the right side of my body. The next day I woke up, I couldn't walk.
Oh, mashallah.
It was really bad. I had to go to the clinic and I didn't want to tell my family, right, at that time. So I told everyone that I fell in the toilet. And the doctor gave me an MC for a week because the bruises were so bad. But after every fight, he would always come to me and apologize, and he would come bearing gifts, and he would be this very sweet person, like the same person that I met before. And I would just somehow, I don't know, I just had to forgive him.
Yeah.
And he, sorry.
It's okay.
Take your time. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and he would come bearing gifts and all that. So he would always promise me that it wouldn't happen again, But I remember one time when I thought like enough was enough. After 7 years, we were fighting in the car, and he was driving my car at that time. We were fighting. I can't remember about what, and then I told him that I've had enough. I can't do this anymore. I cannot go on with him hurting me anymore. I did ask him, like, was it always like this previously in his other relationships? But apparently not. It was just me. I guess because like he felt that I didn't stop him from doing all that, so that's why it's okay. Or maybe because I had no one to protect me, so he felt like he could get away with it. So back to the story, I was in the car and we were fighting, and I remember when I told him that I wanted to break off, he just turned into someone else. Like, he literally accelerated. I thought he was going to kill us, and I remember we were at the curve, and the car he couldn't control the car, and the car spun and hit the curb. And I remember seeing the headlights of another oncoming car coming towards me, and I thought I was gonna die, that time. And but thankfully not. But after that, I injured my neck, and I had bruises all over because from the impact, and I think that was it for me. So I think like after that fight, I took a break from him. I just wanted to, because this was getting serious. So I spoke to my friends, like the close few that I had at that time, and I broke down and I just told them everything about what has been happening for the past few years, and then I guess they gave me a sense of clarity. They just made me see that was wrong, whatever relationship I was in, it was actually very toxic, and I should love myself more. And I guess that's when I actually saw, I actually saw that, yeah, they're right. Like, my parents don't even hit me, why would I let some guy hit me? But I'm pretty sure you have questions like why did I stay so long? It was because at that time I lost my mom. So he went through the same thing. He had also lost his mom, and at that point my dad was dating someone else, and I wasn't very happy, and I had no one to turn to. So it was kind of like my rock at that time. So we were going through the same thing, so I guess I had no one else to talk about. Like, even if I talked to my friends, they wouldn't understand the loss that I felt unless you're going through the same thing. So I thought we were like, two people against the world.
Yeah, only he understood what you were going through.
Yeah. So I guess that's why I stayed, and in some way probably because like I imagined him being himself from the first few years that we were together, and I had loved him then. Why would I change my love even if he hit me? But which is stupid lah. You shouldn't stay because of what the abuse that you're going through. So and another thing that made me stay was because he always made me feel like because he was this cool guy, he was very extroverted, and I'm just like this very introverted person. I've never really, he was actually my first love. So he always made me feel like I'm not good enough for my, for other people. Like,
Would he say certain things?
like he would say that, like, if I left him, I would never be able to find someone else better. Like no one else would love me the same way. So I was just scared that if I had left him, like, nobody could ever love someone the way that love me the way that he loved me.
But when he said that to you, those things, didn't you ever get red flags about him? Rather, because you're saying, like, when he said that about you, you were thinking about, oh, nobody's ever gonna love me. Did you ever think that he was wrong? Did you ever feel that way in the moment?
In the moment, because I guess when he spoke to me about it, it was like I was at a very vulnerable state. So I had, like I mentioned earlier, I had very low self-esteem. So no, not really. I genuinely thought that,
It was you.
Right.
Yeah, it was me. I was the problem. And sometimes, like, when I told him that I wanted to leave, he would threaten to kill himself. Or like he would do things to himself. So obviously I didn't want him to get hurt also, and I don't want to feel the burden. If anything happened, if anything does happen to him, then it would be my fault.
Yeah.
But honestly, now that I've thought about it, like, after I've left, obviously it shouldn't even be my fault, because whatever that he's doing is his choice.
Yeah. And I think it's a bit, I mean, thank you so much for like opening up and sharing all this with Amal and myself and with everyone who's listening. We've never been through an experience like that, but we've heard of many people who have, especially with their partners or their boyfriends saying, oh, if you ever leave, I'm going to kill myself, or I'm going to hurt myself. I cannot imagine the guilt or the pain that you would have to go through having someone who you think loves you say that to you.
Yeah, exactly. So hence why I kept on thinking about it, like, like, what if he really does kill himself?
Yeah.
Or
I mean, someone who's capable of hurting a woman, you never know what else they're capable of doing.
Exactly.
Right.
But actually, for someone to hurt a woman, there must be something wrong with him in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't even hit anyone, let alone a woman, especially if you're a guy. The way he was hitting me was like he was hitting another guy, so I know I should have, like, if I could turn back time and do it all over again, I would have left him a long time ago. But yeah, I was young and I was very vulnerable at that time. I was naive. So
in that 7 years, I guess it only started in like year 4, year 3 that he started abusing you.
Yeah, the first 3 years, he was very sweet. He was very romantic, but it's just that I guess it's because it started with me not being able to give him enough attention, but that shouldn't even be my fault,
Right.
You were starting out in your career and everything. You should be more understanding than that.
Correct. Yeah.
Had he started, abusing you earlier in the relationship, do you think you would have left earlier? Or does the fact that it took him so long to get there, like you had 3 really good years, did that contribute to you staying longer because you had that memory of 3 good years?
Yes, definitely. Because like whenever he abused me or he hit me, and when he apologized later, he would just apologize and say, like, look, I'll change. I'm so sorry that I hit you. I don't know what overcame my emotions, and when he was talking to me nicely and he was being very nice.
Pujuk lah.
Yeah.
Typical lelaki pujuk perempuan kind of thing, yeah.
So I kept on thinking about the first 3 years that we built together, like we had together. I really thought that I was going to have a future with this guy, I wasn't looking anywhere else. Yeah.
So what would, let's just pick, an abusive period. Like how would it happen? Like he would hurt you and then what, he'd drop you off at your house, or like how would you guys part ways, and then how long would it take for him to apologize to you?
Normally because he didn't have a car at that time, so it was always me driving. Sometimes when it got really bad, I would just lock him out of the car and drive off, because I was scared of him hurting me more. But at times we would make up right after we fought. He would slap me, and then like 5 minutes later it would be someone else. It's like he had a split personality, Yeah, so can't really tell.
Yeah. And like, how often would it happen?
I would say like every few months or so, every other month. At first, it was the period was longer in between, when he started hurting me, but it's not like I did try to fight back, but whenever he talked to his friends, he always made it seem like he was the victim, like I was the one that hit him.
Oh, so he told people that
He
you guys...
told his friends.
What did he say?
He said that we were fighting and she started hitting me, Obviously, he wanted to make himself look like the good guy.
Yeah.
Because actually, if he's only like that behind closed doors, like whenever it's just the two of us, if we were amongst friends, he would be this totally different person.
Yeah.
He has this totally different personalities, like Mr. Nice Guy. Nobody would actually expect him to do this. And when I told his friend also, like when I was seeking help from his friend, like his best friend, that's the only other guy that I spoke to try to help me, his friend didn't believe me because, the image that he projected to other people was that he was this really nice, sweet guy.
Yeah. And I guess that most men who do this, yes, they do have this split personality of like when they are hurting you, they're this one guy, and in front of other people, they're like this other facade. Yeah. So did he also start controlling things about you, like maybe the things that you wore or things that you did or who you could speak to?
He not really, not really, but he was just quite wary of who I spoke to as a guy. Like if that person was another guy, like he didn't like it if my supplier or client texted me, but even though it was on a working work basis, so yeah, he just didn't like it, but he never really got into it so much lah. It was more him. He was the one, he had more time, so he was the one that was going around flirting, going out with other girls behind my back. So most of the fights started about me confronting him about that,
cheating on you.
About that, or like about work. Yeah, like not enough attention.
Yeah. And so how did it like finally end? When was the last time you ever saw him and said, okay, that's it, I'm done?
The funny thing is, after 7 years, we actually broke up over the phone.
So Taylor Swift, Joe Jonas moment.
It's just, you remember I told you about the accident?
Right.
After that, I spoke to my friends, and my friends decided to intervene. They said enough is enough. And I thought so too. So I told him that I don't want to do this anymore. I was just afraid that if I saw him again, it would actually, like I would actually forgive him again. Right. My friends played a huge part in stopping me, like from going back to him. They totally made me like delete his phone number, block his number, and made sure that there was no way that he could reach out to me. And you start off with cutting all ties, and then after a while, at first it was very hard for me because 7 years is a long time. Of course. And we used to talk to each other every day, but at one point you have to realize that you have to love yourself first before you love someone else. And if that someone else that you love is starting to hit you and putting you in dangerous situations, then you have to question yourself, like, does he really love you?
What was that last conversation like of you telling him, okay, this is it?
I just told him that
Sorry, was this through phone call or through text? Text.
My friends didn't even want me to speak to him, and they were there when I did it to give support.
You, yeah.
So I told him that it has been a roller coaster for the past 7 years, and I did love him at one point, but I'm not sure if he feels the same way anymore, or if I do feel the same way anymore, because he's starting to hurt me, and not just it's not just with words, but also
physically.
Yeah. So I told him that if I stay longer, you might actually kill me.
Right.
That's what I said to him. So I don't know. I told him that if I stay longer with you, you might actually kill me. Yeah. So I told him that I think this is it. We're not meant for each other, and I hope that he will find it in himself to try to, make himself better. Like, even if he ends up with someone else, like, I pray that the other person won't get the same treatment that I did from him. Yeah. So.
And how did he respond?
He was very upset.
Of course.
He was very angry, and he did threaten to like come and like make wreck.
Yeah, because he knows where you live.
Yeah. But of course I'm scared, but my friends were saying that it's okay. We have your back. We'll stay over a few nights to see, if he's gonna come, if he's gonna cause any scenes. We'll make sure to call the police, and make sure you get the
help that you
need. Yeah. Yep.
Wow, this sounds like a very obviously this is not my first time hearing it, because Sarah's one of my friends, and we've had conversations about this before, but every time I hear it, it just hits me again, like what a
it's very
painful,
overwhelming.
Very overwhelming experience that you've been through.
Thank you for sharing that entire story.
Yeah, I think this is your first time hearing it.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are so many people who go through some things very similar.
And I have friends that go through the same, but it's not physical abuse, it's more of a emotional abuse. Like even name callings are to me are also,
of course,
abuse.
Definitely. It gets to your head.
I have friends who their boyfriends call them very derogatory names, which I feel is wrong.
Yeah.
So now when I have friends who go through the similar situations, I try to help them as much as I can.
Yeah. And I think it's important for women, for girls to remember that when someone is hurting you, it's not you. It's really them.
Definitely.
And I think us, just as women, just as, we're very soft, we're very forgiving creatures sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just natural to us to be like, oh, it's okay, I love him, I'll give him another chance. But I think that if you can, in that moment, have a moment of clarity and see that this is not good for you, you have to leave.
Yeah,
because
you have
it can
to
get
cut it
worse.
off. Yes, true.
And I do sometimes get girls who DM me or message me and say and share stories with me that their partners are hurting them, that their boyfriend has threatened to kill himself if she leaves him, and they're asking me what to do. And in that moment, I want to help them, but I don't know what to say.
Right.
And I also know that not saying anything is also not good.
Sometimes I guess these people like me, that time I didn't have much self-love for myself.
Yeah.
And I started loving myself as I grew older, and started appreciating myself more. And I think these people sometimes they feel the same. They feel the reason why they let these things happen is because you don't love yourself. You don't put yourself first. I think it's important to put yourself first before anybody else.
And how do you get to that point?
It's a long journey, I would say. It didn't start off, just after I ended the relationship with him. It's just like you have to constantly tell yourself that you're worth it. Then you will start to love yourself more.
It's like battling the inner voice in your head that's telling you that you're not good enough.
Yes.
It's like telling them, shh, leave me alone, and listen to the voice that's telling you, Sarah, you're worth it. You gotta put yourself first.
Yes, exactly.
So,
hold on, I just need to breathe for a second. I've been holding my gut this whole time. So maybe we can just share with our listeners, maybe if anyone is in a similar position, what are some of the actionable steps that they can do?
Okay, the first thing is to cut off all ties with that person, with the person who's abusing you. And definitely you would have to talk about it with someone else, get the support that you need. Once you start talking to people, then you will feel this huge burden lifted off your shoulders. And I know sometimes that it might get worse if you break off or cut ties with the abusive person. But there's always other ways to find help. Like, you have to go to the proper authorities. Like, if he's coming or if he's threatening to come and hurt you, you have to report to the police.
Sorry, I just had one quick question. Like, do you think that why a lot of people don't share their abusive experiences is because they feel like shame or they feel fear?
Yes, correct. That's how I felt at that time, and I don't want people to see me as being stupid, but you have to talk to someone about it. You can't just keep it inside, otherwise you just end up getting more hurt.
Yeah. Okay, so going to authorities, speaking to someone you can trust.
Yeah, that's definitely the best step that you have to do. The most vital step is talking about it first.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think this has been a very interesting.
Yes, very interesting, very informative, in a sense where just know that you're not alone if this is what you're going through, and definitely get help, and don't have shame to ask for help, because a lot of people do find themselves in these situations and you don't even realize, right? You just, like, it's just gradual that you said, and with you where you're just, oh my God, I'm in this situation, and you're just in so deep that you don't know how to get out.
Yeah.
But just know that you can get out, like you said. It's going to be hard for sure.
Yeah.
But
if you see the signs, just get out of it
just
quickly. Don't wait till it's too long.
Yeah. And it only takes one person to listen.
Yeah.
So right now we a lot of the times we're talking about the abuser and the victim, but there's also a third person, which is the person who listens and the person who can help.
Yeah.
So if you are the friend that someone has come to, like, give them as much support as you can.
Don't try to make them feel insignificant or stupid,
Yes, definitely.
even though you feel that way.
Yeah.
But you just have to keep on giving them words of encouragement.
Yeah. And never give up too. Like, for some girls, maybe they're not as strong as Sarah. Like, they feel like, oh, it's okay, I'm gonna go back and forgive him. Like, as a friend, like, don't give up on that person. Like, understand that there's a hit space that you don't get, and just never give up on them, I think. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
You for
We
having
really
me.
appreciate you coming on. And
Thanks for having me.
We love you.
I hope this helps all those people.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you guys for listening. And tune.
And hopefully next week we'll be back with a visual video on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any comments or anything that you'd like to share with the rest of the community, please feel free to comment.
And have a great day.
Assalamualaikum.